Hi there, Ken Johnson, the Jeep guy. I want to talk today about the safe use and effective use of a high lift jack. High lift jack is one of the tools that you ought to have in your toolbox. It gets a lot of bad press because there are some safety concerns with it. It's possible to get hurt with it. I use a chainsaw to cut up firewood. It's possible to get hurt with a chainsaw, but I still find it handy for some things. And you know, a high lift jack, I suppose, could be as dangerous as a chainsaw in many ways. So we're going to talk about how to safely use it, and you'll be glad someday that you had one. It's going to get you out of a pickle when you're stuck. This past summer I went jeeping with another friend. He has a Toyota Tacoma truck, nicely set up. I was ahead of him. We were out in sagebrush country, no boulders, no trees around, a dry road, 2 ruts through the sagebrush, and right in the middle we came to some sort of a seep, some sort of a spring area. It looked a little wet. I was in 2-wheel drive because the road was so easy at that point, and by the time I realized that I was going down in the mud in those 2 ruts, it was too late to engage my 4-wheel drive. I got right down to the hubs. We hooked up tow strap to his Toyota Tacoma, tried to pull it out, but we just couldn't make any headway. It was the high lift jack and some traction boards under the back tires that allowed us to pull it back onto dry ground. There were no rocks around to winch to, not even any rocks around to pile under the tires. So we're going to go over the use of a high lift jack. I wanted to give a disclaimer that you're going to use the jack at your own risk. I have a manual transmission. I've got it in low range, first gear, engine is off, and I'm going to put at least something underneath all the tires. The bigger the better. Just for demonstration purposes, I grabbed a handy old chunk of wood to put underneath there, but you don't want your vehicle rolling backwards. There's a chance that you might need to use your high lift jack when you're on a steeper hill. In that case, try to get another vehicle or a rock or a tree or something and hook your winch onto it, tow strap, whatever you've got, so that your vehicle doesn't run backwards. You don't want to have your high lift jack up in the air and have the vehicle start to roll. It would be possible to get severely injured. I suppose somebody could even lose their life on it if you don't take control to make sure that your vehicle doesn't roll backwards. Here's something else to consider. You may be on a side slope, off camber, and if you start to jack your vehicle up, especially if you've got loose rocks around and loose dirt or sand like most of our trails have, you could very easily slide sideways. We've had some real success in either putting a chain onto a tree sideways or even getting the winch off the front of the Jeep up to a snatch block and back down to the back bumper, so you're holding the whole vehicle from sliding sideways. So just think, as you get your vehicle up off the ground and you have less rubber holding you where you want to be, and there's going to be some tipping, you want to make sure you're not going to slide, especially onto somebody's arm or foot or leg or whatever, and get injured. So that's stability. Going to put blocks under the tires, going to keep it in park or a low gear, either one low range or perhaps reverse. You're going to tie onto something if there's any chance of slipping sideways. Now let's get the jack out. You may have noticed that I keep my jack on the outside, and there's a lot of different places that people like to mount their jacks. On a roll bar, on your hood, in front of the front door. I don't know, this way it's always been out of the way. I used to have a taller one and I would catch some branches at times, but I like it back here. The one thing I do carry in my recovery bag is some WD-40, because I'll admit, being outside in the weather, even though where I live in California there's not a lot of rain, it's helpful to lube up these parts, and then your jack is going to operate smoothly. I've already got out a couple of accessories dealing with the high lift jack, but I do want to show you that when I first used this, I would go to any place that was solid metal, and I found a few problems. One is that unless you're trying to get a log or something stuck underneath the body of your rig, you're just lifting the body up here. You're really not getting the wheels off the ground, and by the time you get this high enough, even with I've got a 4-inch lift, even by the time I get that up, to get the wheels up and get rocks under, I've wasted a lot of time. It's more tippy, it's less stable. Secondly, even though this feels like it's a good solid place and the gravity of the weight is going to keep it from sliding, this can easily slide. This is where a lot of people get hurt. They'll get the rig up in the air and they're working underneath, and pretty soon it slips a little and this thing can slide right off the metal. I've also had it damage the body where it slips and the top end of this goes right into your door or the front fender, and that's just not fun. Some of these things are not as stable as you would think. I've got a good bumper on the back of my rig, but when I start jacking, it is not quite as stable as I'd like it to be. So I'm really going to recommend two things if you have a high lift jack. Maybe a few more than two. Two accessories is what I'm thinking of. Okay, first of all is, these are available online or at your local four-wheel parts store or wherever. You want a base for your jack. This spreads the cubic inches of pressure beyond, I could do the math here, maybe I will and post it down below, but you know, that's a small foot to carry all that weight. You are spreading more than double, probably 4 times, 6 times maybe. You're reducing by 6 times the amount of pressure per cubic inch. When I was stuck in the mud, even though the ground was terrible soft, I was able to jack my Jeep up enough to get traction bars underneath the back tires in the mud using this. The other thing here, and this is a high lift brand, Jack Mate or Lift Mate it's called, and you can probably use, I used this on a Smitty built jack before that I had, so it works on other brands. I suppose I could leave it on my jack all the time. But this is the other cool thing about it, is that as it's lifting, it puts pressure against the tire. You're keeping the metal of your jack far away from any body damage on your Jeep. And now I have blocks under the tires. My Jeep is in gear, so I have a manual. My e-brake or parking brake is on. It's not going to go sliding sideways because I'm flat that way. I'm on a hill, but it's not going to go sliding backwards because I've got blocks under the tires and it's in gear. And I'm not having to lift the whole Jeep to get stuff underneath the tire. I can put my rocks or my logs or whatever I need to get underneath here. In the case of the mud that I'll show you that clip in just a few moments here, we put traction ramps underneath here. So that's what I would recommend for a high lift jack as far as safety. I would make sure you get this adapter or this accessory. Make sure you get a foot so you are reducing your pressure down on the cubic inches, and make sure you've got safety in mind. So I got stuck in the first place by thinking this was just shallow mud, and actually this road here was so easy I had slipped it into two-wheel drive. So by the time I realized I was in trouble, it was too late. No time to quickly shift into four-wheel drive. I think the moral of the story here for me, if I can remember it, is treat every mud hole like it's a bottomless pit.
So this is why you put straps on your traction boards. Now in this case, we were lucky enough, this one you can still see the traction board. The other one, the board was completely buried, and if it hadn't had a strap sticking out, you wouldn't have found it. Now you might have known where they were, but if you're going to use traction boards, you need to put a strap on them.
I can bleep that out, you're fine. This is why you use strong straps.
Well, yeah, those have been sitting out baking in the sun for years.
Yeah. All right. So that was how the traction boards got us unstuck. No trees to winch to.
Oh man.
There's a lot of weight on that.
Yeah.
And then don't take a mud bog at two-wheel drive.
That's true. Yeah. Which, I won't say who the leader was because I don't want to embarrass him.
This is officially titled Tacoma Rescues Jeep, right?
Okay. I give it to you.
When you put two tow straps together, two lines, two whatever, they're gonna bind together. When you have the weight of one truck pulling the weight of another, put something in between where they come together so you have some chance of getting them apart in the future. This is gonna be a real job. Without this rope in here, and we probably should have put more, but without it, they would have been fused forever.
Hey everybody, this is Ariel the Jeep Dog. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there.